Hey, it's Alyssa Long, and you are listening to Across the Bifrost.
Whosoever holds this hammer, if it be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Across the Bifrost. This is the Mighty Thor podcast, where on each and every episode, we explore the world of Marvel's Mighty Thor. I am one of your co-hosts, Ryan Doze, joined by one of the members of the Warriors 3. Faz is here, and this is Faz's first episode of SIMONSON Saga, everybody. Hooray! Faz, you finally made it to SIMONSON Saga.
Couldn't be more excited. The throwback art is just fantastic. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm not saying that sarcastically. This is gonna be a lot of fun.
Oh, well, thank you for qualifying that. Faz is very excited for this because this storyline that we're going to talk about today is bonkers. It's bananas. It is all sorts of fairy goodness, and we're going to talk a lot about a guy called Malekith. You may have heard of him. He's the greatest MCU villain in the history of Marvel movies, and Faz, that's where I get to say I'm being sarcastic. But we are not doing this alone. We're missing our third member. Will is not here today, still recovering from his trip abroad in Germany. But we brought in a ringer to talk about the third part of our SIMONSON Saga. Albert from Albert Loves Comics is here. Man, we are so excited to have you on the show. How are you doing tonight?
Hey man, how's it going? I'm thrilled to be here. This is one of my first times reading Thor, Simonson and everything, and I liked it a lot. So I'm happy to be here to talk and also just to hear from you guys. You guys know a lot more than me, so I'm gonna be like the viewers and just listening to you all.
Well, I appreciate that confidence that you have in us. That'll be we'll see if we've earned it at the end.
We 100% will let you down, but that's okay.
Faz, that's what Listener Prime is for.
That's true. That's a good point. It's been almost 20 minutes since we last mentioned him, so it's important, or her.
Listener Prime, whoever they are, Listener Prime will be the top tier Patreon supporter of this show, and they'll basically get to tell us what we do and don't know. They will get to correct us. They'll get a direct line to us. Faz promised them my phone number a few weeks ago. They will not get that. not that it's a prize you should want, but we're gonna keep that more private.
Look, we're super responsive on the Instagram page. You don't need our phone number to reach us. You can just hit us up there.
Right, yeah. Problem. So anyway, Albert, like I have been following your Instagram page for a long time, and I just was hoping that you could share with listeners what your page is about, some of the things you do on there, I think your page is really special. I enjoy it a lot. But if you could just share what it's about and what you do on your page.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. I've been on TikTok for 2 years, Instagram for like 3. And the reason why I started posting comic related things is because my wife does not like talking about comic books at all. So I'd read an amazing story about the Flash or Batman or something, and she just did not want to have it. So I was like, you know what? There's other people who do want to hear what I have to say. So I'd post a picture of a book that I'm reading, and then I found out there's like a ton of people on Instagram, and slowly what I started doing was I had a lot more to say, but I didn't want to type it out. So I started giving a little bit of commentary on a video. And then my wife got really into TikTok, and then I was like, what's this all about? Got into that. So really what I try to do is just highlight to people books that I'm reading. I do quick reviews. I used to go to a lot of different comic book shops, and I used to do like a tour of the shop just to kind of see the vibe. But really, like the goal is to expose as many people as possible to some of the really great, incredible stories in comic books. I do indies, I do DC, Marvel. It's been really awesome to see the community that's kind of supported me, because what I really just try and do is talk about books. You know, there's lots of different parts to this hobby, where there's like the money side and the like grading and all that stuff, but I'm really just all about the stories, and a lot of people I think have found an interest in that.
Now, another outside of your reviews, which are awesome, and people should go check out at Albert Loves Comics for all your fantastic reviews. Another thing you do is you make these sketchbooks. Now, like that really caught my eye because a lot of times when people like some of the people I've followed in the past be like, here's what I think about a book. And then that's kind of all that it is, or like, here's a cover that I have that's kind of cool. But you're actually using comics in a creative way to kind of repurpose them. So I was wondering, just to share about that, how that came to be.
Yeah, you see, that's funny. I didn't even think about that, just because like it's not you know, I consider myself a creative person. I get like the itch to like do something creative and like do something new, to make something, because I feel like I'm always consuming. I'm like, I gotta contribute. So so one day what I did was I went to a comic store. There was like a Kirby comic book of like strange just like, you know, there's a really, really old book with like Fantastic Four and all these really cool characters. And I love the artwork, but the book was like torn. Like, I think there was like a bullet hole in the middle of it. And I literally
there's
have
a story there.
Yeah, there's I found it for like 50 cents. So I was like, this is, I'm gonna find a way to expose this art. So I found like a piece of furniture on the street, and like a big wooden table, and I decided, like, you know what, I'm going to put on top of this table just a bunch of comic book art. So I took out all the panels and I sliced them all up and I glued them over the top, and I got a glass to go over it so it doesn't scratch off or anything like that. And that's the table that's in my comic room. And then I was like, this is awesome. I'm gonna do it for my wall. So I got a wall completely filled up with comic book art.
That's
just
amazing.
Like, just the internal panels. And now again, I haven't stopped. Like, I go to my comic book shop and they still have all these great books for super cheap. And again, they're books that like are not desirable. Nobody wants them. They're way overprinted. And I was just talking to you guys, you know, in the backstage about if I have a book that I'm like, is this a valuable book or not? There's mold on it, most likely. That's not a valuable book anymore. Nobody wants this. Nobody wants to touch it or breathe it. So I'm what I'll do is I'll cut it up into pieces, highlighting the artwork. And now what I'm doing is sketchbooks. So I went to my first convention, Terrificon in Connecticut, and I got to meet incredible artists. But one of the things I didn't know about was there are some people who bring a sketchbook and they'll go to their favorite artist and they're like, hey, can you do a sketch for me of my favorite character? And I was blown away that you could do that.
Yeah.
One of the guys I met, he had an entire sketchbook filled with art from art of characters of Invincible. And I was blown away. So what cool. I did was I decided, you know what, I went to Michael's, I was looking for a sketchbook, and then none of them like felt like sketchbooks that I was excited to hold. So I was like, you know what, how hard is it to make one? So I got the paper, I got the materials, and I decided to use comic books for my cover. I made it on TikTok and one day, and Instagram, and then people loved it. So now, like, people have been reaching out asking for me to make them for them. So it's been a really cool, fun hobby to do. I'm not making a lot of money. I'm not getting rich. I'm selling them for like $20, $30. It's not a lot of money, but it's fun to see people, excited about something that I'm making, which is pretty cool.
It's still an awesome, cool, creative side hustle, man. Like that's awesome. I know that was one of the things that like caught my eye. I was like, oh my gosh, that Wolverine sketchbook looks amazing. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I really I'm one of those people that reached out to you and I was like, how can I get my hands on one of these? But your page is awesome, and I encourage anybody to go out and check it out for your reviews. Before we get into Simonson, what is like that book like right now? Like, what is that book where you're like, oh my gosh, if you love comics on any level, man, you got to go out and read this? What would Albert recommend to the listeners of Across the Bifrost?
Wow. I wasn't prepared for this. I read a lot of stuff. I think that it depends on the audience. Everybody has their own thing. If you're a person who's trying to get into superhero comics and like you don't really know where to start, I think the new Nightwing by Tom Taylor is phenomenal.
Hell yes,
it is phenomenal. Woo! It's really easy to fall in love with. Like it's like candy. It's amazing. And then I would say for someone who's looking for more like of a noir adult feel that's not superhero-ish but still has superheroes, Human Target by Tom King just finished. That was really, really good. It felt like it was well thought out and serious but playful, and there was like a nice romance. So those are my top two that come to mind. If you're looking for an indie, just sorry, I'm going off, but
no, your recommendations carry some weight with me. So let's do this.
That's awesome. Probably my favorite book is Low by Rick Remender. It's a indie book. It's from Image Comics a while ago. They sell the hardcovers. They're still pretty available at comic shops. Low is, I read it when COVID was at like its worst. It's about maintaining optimism in the worst moments. It's a book with hope, devastation, and like it's a really, really sad book, but at the same time it has a lot of action and a lot of fun stuff happening. So I always recommend to people if they're looking for like a really high quality book.
Well, thank you very much. We'll include those, like when we share this episode, we'll include those recommendations. I mean, fans of this show know I can't speak any higher of Tom Taylor. I think Tom Taylor is the most, honestly, his comics are, like you said, candy. They're like comfort food to me. Yeah. It feels like a classic comic book story, but he adds so much nuance to things, and what he's doing with Nightwing is
amazing.
I
think he's becoming like people's favorite characters, like literally. Like for me, DC, I'm like, he's now my new like Superman figure. Like he's just full of hope.
And you've seen like in like, we're skipping across the line here real quick, but like I think you've seen in like the recent events like Dark Crisis and things where like Wonder Woman and Superman literally come to Nightwing and they're like, hey, we want you to lead the Justice League.
Yeah,
literally. So like Dick Grayson is being positioned as like a main focal point of DC Comics, and I think a lot of it is because of what Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo have done with that character. It's incredible.
And one of the cool things is that like I think people are noticing is James Gunn actually reads the comic books, and like he's reading the popular stuff, and I'm like, are you reading Tom Taylor's Nightwing though, man? Because like if he does, he's gonna get a solo movie for sure. So that's what I'm hoping. Like I'm hoping he's watching these movies or he's reading the story.
And I'm like, Taylor's about to restart up like a Titans ongoing series. Like it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. But hey, we're not here to talk about new DC comics. We're here to talk about old Thor comics. So we are gonna jump into this third edition, this third part of our Simonson saga, where our first one, a lot about Beta Ray Bill. Our second one, we got a smattering of Vikings and dragons and all sorts of stuff, golden mead potions. Now, today, we're going to focus in on a character that is, Malekith the Accursed is most comic book fans probably have an opinion about him. Movie fans probably have more of an opinion about him, but maybe you saw Dark World and you're like, oh, this guy is, I don't buy this character at all, or I don't like this character, or maybe you did like this character, but maybe you didn't know the roots of this character. Well, today we're going to talk about like his first big showdown with Goldilocks, with the big guy. So we're going to jump in with issue 345. And Faz, before we jump into the actual story of this issue, I want you to tell listeners what your opinion of this comic was, because it sets the table for kind of the craziness we're about to get into.
This comic came out in the 80s, right, Ryan? That's the time frame?
I think came out in 84.
This is the horniest comic I have ever read from a time frame like this.
Interesting.
They obviously can't go all out because it's the 80s and it's Marvel, but the amount of almost sex and almost sexual things that happen over the course of 23 pages is just absurd.
Astounding.
Like Simonson, this is what I said to Ryan. I said, Simonson might need to get laid at this point, guys. That might be what's missing.
Like, he's writing this and he's like, Wheezy, get in here. You're right. This comic is kind of nuts. Because Malekith has these powers of mind control, and the fairies can do all this persuasion stuff, but then Lorelei is also weaving her magical concoctions and her golden mead plan with Thor. There's a lot of stuff in these issues, and we're going to try to catch most of it. So in 345, we jump into a storyline where there are agents of Malekith working on several different levels. These fairy warriors who are they're influencing mortals like police officers and just people on the street, and they're trying to track down this person called Eric Willis. Now, Eric Willis has some information that's going to be really important, and we find out that it is the location of the legendary Casket of Ancient Winters, which, when opened, will basically unleash an unending winter upon Midgard. So, of course, that's something that we might need a superhero to stop eventually. We'll get to that guy. But there's a lot of, I noticed one thing about 345, and I'd love for you guys to just, add in your thoughts on this. It felt like a lot of we're setting the stage. There's not a ton of action in this one because we're meeting these new characters like Eric Willis, like Roger Willis. Eventually, we're meeting the agents of Malekith, and we're meeting Struthers, one of the lawyer figures. Balder has his own stuff going on. Lorelei is still trying to get with Thor, by any means necessary, and she's being kind of weird about it. And Thor is kind of caught in the middle of this, like Faz alluded to, almost having sex at many times. And we're gathering these characters after these two arcs that we've gotten with Beta Ray Bill, and then the stuff with Fafnir the dragon. We've gotten a lot of big action heavy issues leading up to this part of Simonson's run. I feel like we settle into almost some espionage, almost some thriller Cloak and Dagger kind of stuff. Not that Cloak and Dagger, but the concept of Cloak and Dagger. And we end this issue with Eric Willis, the guy that we thought was gonna be a bigger deal in this storyline. He dies at the hands of Malekith. And Malekith is disguising himself as a woman, and named Angel. And Malekith is trying to get this information from Eric, and he ends up how do I put this nicely? He ends up sucking him dry like a mummy. He ends up as this.
Told you it was horny, listeners.
Yeah, that was maybe an unfortunate phrasing. But no, we get to the end here, and Malekith is weaving his plan to get the Casket of Ancient Winters, and Thor is really not aware of what's going on yet. He hasn't really put together these storylines. This is almost like a transitional issue. We're setting up the big action pieces for later. But guys, any thoughts on 345? This setup to the Malekith storyline?
I had lots of thoughts.
I you know what? Reading this, I would be shocked if people didn't.
Hey, it was a very good way to kick off the story, because it wasn't very Thor focused. Right. It was very much about the surrounding area and the tone, and like you said, the espionage. I never really thought about it that way, but it starts the first few pages. There's a girl getting kidnapped and tied up, and you're like, oh, this is immediately kicking off. And I didn't know this Dr. Willis character. I didn't know if he was a villain or I actually no. I thought he was a villain, definitely.
Right. I straight up thought this is this sex crimes thing. This is
definitely.
This is Chip Zdarsky's sex criminals.
But he got a lot to say, and it wasn't evil stuff to say. So there was a lot of confusion, and then literally till the end of the story, you're just bro, this guy is gonna be like a Jaime Lannister in Game of Thrones. Is he gonna be from hating him to loving him?
Good comparison.
I didn't know, and then they just eliminated him. So I really enjoyed this first issue. I thought it was a cool kickoff for it. And for me as a reader, I didn't know anything about Thor.
Yeah.
There being very little Thor. I actually I liked it a lot. That was a cool beginning. It made me curious as to why they just built this whole character and they eliminated him. What was the point of that? And we find out.
Yeah. Faz, what did you think of as you've called the horniest storyline that we've run into yet.
I would echo what Albert said. I thought it was a really nice setup. I liked how much Midgard time we had this book, because we're going to get outside of Earth for a while, but this is very much like you could remove Sigurd as he is half of the time, or Thor the other times, and you've got like a Daredevil.
Sigurd Jarlson,
with the amount
the construction worker.
Right, yeah. So it's very much like a setting the tone. Here are the players. Here's what they're doing. Here's where they're set up. Get ready to see how it all unfolds over the next 3 or 4 issues. And I think they did a really good job doing that.
I think one thing, so readers, if, we along our journey through Simonson's Thor, we encourage you to go read these with us, because they're great works of art, great writing, and I think one of the things that should catch your eye right away with most comic books is the cover. The cover for 345 seems to promise something that we don't get in this issue. It's one of those classic tropes of like, oh, did what was foreshadowed on the cover happen in the comic? Not even close. So for the guys that here we're chatting, I'm holding up my issue of 345. Now 345's cover depicts Malekith in this giant exaggerated posture above the New York skyline, with his hands closing in on Thor as he's flying seemingly away from Malekith. Malekith and Thor don't interact in this issue. And Malekith is still much behind the scenes here, and he really only fully appears in the last few pages. And now I will say, Albert, since you're like you said, you're new to Thor, you're new to Malekith, what did you think of his depiction, how Simonson portrays him? Like what was your first impression of Malekith as a design, as a figure in these issues?
Great question. I'm not familiar with Malekith at all. I didn't watch Dark World. I watched.
Okay,
I know.
You're on a Thor podcast.
Hey,
I put it on a lot, but I never finished it. You know what I mean? Like I'll have it on a lot.
We get
it's
it.
like Ryan's sneaky favorite MCU movie, so you've just stabbed him right in the heart.
I'm not talking about Iron Man today.
I'm sorry.
I'm not doing
sorry.
it.
But I will put it on. I'll put it on after this. I'll do my homework. But I didn't know we were going to talk. I didn't know, if I knew that Malekith was the villain of. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
Oh gosh, no.
It's totally okay. You're
like,
all good. Yeah.
But he's
if Dark World is the movie you skipped in the MCU, that's okay.
You learned everything you needed to in Endgame. You're fine.
Right.
I the whole time I was left curious. I was like, what's his power set? What's his like reality? Because he obviously he changes, like he can shapeshift, right? Right. But like, can he? And I've learned that he can influence people and how they feel. But I'm like, oh, that's similar to Loki, right? So I knew that like Loki has ties to the elf world. So like I'm using all this background knowledge to piece it together. His character design though, it's pretty goofy, pretty silly. I mean, it's very comic, accurate. That's how comics are. But like he's wearing like a jester thing. And it's very like, I don't know. He's got the white or blonde hair. Is it a blue face? Like a blue white face?
He's almost like Two-Face from Batman.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, I will say this. Malekith is so. I don't know if I would get pushback on this, but here's how I interpret Malekith. So a lot of people they'll say, obviously Loki is Thor's arch nemesis. Totally get that. Stand by it. Agree with it.
/ best friend, but yeah.
So yeah. Like it's complicated. But I will say that if Thor needed like Batman has the Joker, and the Joker is like the antithesis of Batman. Loki is not the antithesis of Thor. I actually think Malekith is the antithesis of Thor. Because Thor is very noble. He's very upfront. He's very brutish. He's very strong. Malekith is none of those things. He's very, very conniving, very manipulative. And he's manipulative in a way where he's trying to get at more power. We see that in the War of the Realms storyline that we covered really all of last year. Faz, we did a whole year of Jason Aaron retrospective on his Thor run, and Malekith is pretty much the big bad of that entire run.
He's Loki without the redeeming qualities, is what he is.
Loki
He's
without the
out and out
redeeming
evil.
qualities.
That's what I kind of sensed when reading it. I was like, oh, he's like a bad Loki, like a bad Loki.
Yeah. Faz, you literally couldn't have said it better. He is
Bad.
Loki without any redeeming qualities.
That's actually why he's so disappointing in the MCU, because they just did Loki and felt they had to change up Malekith to not be too similar. And as a result, people like Albert just skip the movie now. They it would have been better to just do Loki again, make it more enjoyable.
But we end this issue with Eric Willis, the character that we met, built up, and then killed off. He's dead in the front seat of a convertible, and Malekith is off to enact his plan, which we know is going to be finding the Casket of Ancient Winters, opening it up because his master has commanded him to. Now, we find out later on who his master is, but if you've been following along with the Simonson saga, maybe it's not that secretive. Surtur is coming, and Surtur is our big bad that we're headed towards in this first big arc of Simonson's Thor. So Malekith is he's got his own goals that he's about to go enact, but Surtur is still in the background, kind of pulling at all the strings. So let's move on to 346, unless you guys have any final thoughts about 345. Faz, go for it, man.
One thing, we've been watching the sword be built for like 15 comics now, and it is finished in this episode.
Yes.
We've been seeing it go. This issue has it finally ready. Surtur, just like he does every comic in the Simonson saga here, gets a great page where he looks big and scary, and he's finished the sword.
Yeah. And we get that resonating, that theme of doom. And that's the thing that we literally start the Simonson saga with that word. The first issue of Simonson's run of Thor is not Beta Ray Bill. It's not, Thor's back with a brand new bag. Like it's not that. The first issue's name is Doom. And we continue that theme all the way through the end of the Surtur saga, which is going to be next time on Simonson saga. Simonson saga number 4 is we're going to finally do battle with Surtur, and it's going to be epic. But right now we're going to move on to 346. 346 is an issue called The Wild Hunt. Now, this issue is pretty simple. Malekith is looking for the Casket of Ancient Winters, and Roger Willis, who is the son of Eric Willis, since Eric is now dead, he is now the task of protecting the Casket of Ancient Winters has fallen to him. So now Malekith turns his sights on Roger. Now we're going to learn a little bit more about Roger, and we've got to talk about this character because he is epically crazy. But in this issue, one of the big action piece that we finally get is Malekith unleashes his hounds on Thor, and he is the master of the hounds. So now the hounds are on the wild hunt. Thor is able to stop the hounds because of the iron bridge that they're fighting on in New York City. So he's able to stave off this massacre by a comic book contrivance. Iron, fairies can't be around iron. Okay, I guess.
Side note, one of the most hilarious things about these issues is that Thor's teammate just is a guy with a gun because bullets are iron.
Right.
So he gets to fight the whole time.
Roger Willis he is a true American hero, and we will get to him.
What gives away that he's American?
His hat is incredible. It's just, and he talks about Korea all the time, and he's like, I wore this iron plate under my shirt. Like it's like I got
an iron plate in my head.
I've got an iron plate in my head. Like every grizzled war vet trope Roger Willis has.
He's basically Iron Man, if you think about it, Ryan.
I'd rather not think about Iron Man. But he has like a magical handgun that's not actually magic, but it can do so much shit. So Roger and Thor, they become this duo where, like Faz said, it's the god of thunder, the wielder of Mjolnir, the lord of the storm, and Roger. That's it. So they fight off the hounds again because plot, and Malekith is sent away. Now they know that they're going to encounter him again because Malekith is still looking for the casket, and he's not going to stop. There's a few little plot points that I want to talk about within this, but guys, any thoughts jump out to you about 346 and maybe some magical food that Thor eats, maybe how Malekith tricks him in the end? Like, there's a lot here. Malekith he's up to no good, and it's quite funny at points. But Albert, what about you, man?
No, this was the there was one moment that was the most comic booky, silly thing ever. Thor goes to a police station to look for Dr. Willis, and the police officer's like, Thor, yeah, we'll go get him. But would you like some cookies? And literally, that's how it goes.
Happens at every police station.
I'm going to read what he says. He says, they are delicious. I have never tasted anything quite like them before. There's no reason why Thor is eating cookies, but he eats them. And they're obviously laced. And he's got like a potion.
Drugged.
He got drugged, and he can't lift his hammer, and he's on the floor. And I'm like, the cops are gonna beat him up. Like that's what it looked like. They tell him that now they're loyal. These cops are loyal to Malekith, and now they're all like gonna get him and everything. But that was a really fun, silly part. And then literally 2 seconds later, like, I'm a god. These cookies don't work on me, and then he's back to normal. Like that.
He responds
completely normal afterwards. He's just totally like, we're made of sterner stuff, and then just stands up and beats them up. And that's
so he responds to this being like magically drugged by these magic cookies. Again, people, I am not making this up. This is the quintessential run of Thor by Mr. Walt Simonson, who may have had some magical cookies while he was writing this, from the dialogue. But Thor says this after the police officer that's kind of in charge says, count yourself lucky, at least you are alive. Malekith himself has slain his hated enemy, Eric Willis, and which doesn't have any kick-ass to it. Like, just he murdered a guy named Eric. Like, it's
Malekith the Accursed has waged war with Paul Smith.
With Eric. And the officer goes on to say, and when he has recovered the Casket of Ancient Winters, then shall his servants step forth from their cloak of secrecy, and great will be our glory. Well, you're Faz. This is Thor. Thor has, see, your cosplay is so convincing.
I'll take it.
That was we've done what, like over 100 issues or 100 episodes of this podcast, and I have never once mixed you up with Thor.
It's just because Hemsworth and I look too much alike, and the Simonson drawing of Thor and I look too much alike. That's all.
Like, yeah, you and Paul Rudd both look exactly like Chris Hemsworth, right?
Yes.
Thor responds by saying, "The rolling thunder, I have heard enough." The officer's like, what? And then Thor just goes into this. He's like, such food as you have made, have fed me would certainly ensnare any mortal who might consume it, but gods are made of sterner stuff. And then he just electrocutes the crap out of them.
Yeah. So epic.
It is, never has a cookie brought so much conflict into us. I'll stand by it. It never has a cookie brought so much conflict into a comic book. I'll
honestly though, the next page is even more quintessentially comic book, because we have this extremely powerful Ragnarok causing thing, the Casket of Ancient Winters, and it's just in a duffel bag hidden on what looks like a train track.
You're darn right, it is.
Regular guy.
And then I love that.
Somebody might notice a guy carrying a mysterious canvas bag, but they won't look twice at me lugging a Macy's bag around New York City. What is happening?
Wait, does it say that?
Yes, it says it in the bottom panel of page 9. It says, well, if I stuff it in this Macy's bag, no one will suspect a thing. It's like, no, what in God's green earth is happening?
I'm like, was Simonson scared to walk around with his duffel bag?
Right? It's like,
no, he's only scared when it's glowing gold. If it's a glowing gold duffel bag in New York, he's not safe. If it's just a Macy's bag, he's fine.
Like, I get it. Like, Simonson's run is quintessential, and you should read it. That doesn't mean there aren't parts that are bat crap insane.
The silliness makes it better because that's
Right?
what Thor is. It's wild. He's a god on Earth. You need to have things like magical weapons in duffel bags.
We have not gotten yet to the inclusion of the time variance authority in this run of Thor, which I believe
The TVA's in this run.
I believe their first appearance is in this run.
Oh, that's very fun.
And those issues are. You think this is bonkers? We haven't gotten. We haven't.
This is just silly. This isn't even bonkers yet. This is just odd.
Let's also remind listeners. This is also the run of Thor comics where Thor becomes a frog. Like Thor becomes a freaking frog. So and then is like, you know, his name is Puddle Gulp. His name is Puddle Gulp.
When are those ones? I have to make sure I'm here. Okay, there it is.
Oh, Faz, I refuse to do them without you. I will not. You, me, and Will have a riot doing those. Yeah, that's so good. Then at the end, we got to talk about the two things that happen towards the end of this after the hounds are they're defeated. We go back to Lorelei's apartment for just a normal nightcap. That we thought it was a normal nightcap, when actually Thor is being fed golden mead that he drinks, and now he loves her. He must have her. His heart and his loins burn for her. But
Does
then
it say that, or are you adding that?
No, made it up off the top of my head.
Definitely on brand for these very horny comics. Yeah.
But then you find out that Malekith has actually kidnapped Lorelei, and Thor is now in love with a tree that is in the shape of Lorelei. And
Groot's first appearance.
Thor's mad about it. Thor's real mad about it. He says that was Malekith's voice. How he learned of Melody, I do not know. Which, by the way, Melody is not her real name. It's Lorelei in disguise. So Thor's being tricked like 3-4 layers down.
It's a Russian nesting doll of tricks. Yeah.
Right. You know, I will say this about our guy Thor. He does fall for a lot of tricks. Like he falls for a lot of stuff.
Is Loki even good at deception, or is Thor just?
I don't think Loki has to be good at it. Like it's like he's the god of mischief, but it doesn't say like Midgard's best god of mischief. Like it like he doesn't have that. Who knows if he's even good at it, or if Thor's just really gullible.
Yeah, no,
or
fair.
he loves cookies and meat. I mean, that's the easiest way to trick him.
It's certainly my weakness. It can be his weakness as well. Yeah.
Albert brings up a good point. Maybe issue 346 is just Thor trying to reconcile his eating problems. Like he's like, I like cookies, I like beer. Like,
he's just hungry and thirsty. There's nothing
really, Thor, because cookies and beer got you in trouble in this issue.
Very easy to find his weakness. Just gotta drug him.
Also, before I leave 346, gotta say the Surtur panel again, fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Let's
really
we
cool.
gotta spend a minute on that, because it's what Faz, tell everybody what Surtur says here, because he's assembled his army.
Well, it says, a voice as old as time cries out, sons of Muspel, daughters of fury, demons of the flame, our time has come. Sound the battle cry, that all who live may hear it and despair. Doom.
Oh,
Pretty cool.
hell yes.
It's got a nice tail in the shot too.
So yeah. And
cool.
we see the hilt of Twilight, and Surtur's got kind of like a fiery bikini situation going on.
I'd call that a loincloth, but yeah.
Yeah, it's but the fire is very it's covering up what it needs to cover up.
This particular like shot is not sexy, this panel, but Ryan's making it sexy, and that's okay.
Well, you know, I feel like we've made our points.
It's not his tail. Let's just say that.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know what, Albert, on that note, I feel like we need to take a brief break. I feel like we need to take a break.
I need 10 minutes. I'm sorry. I got to recover from the tail.
We need to reset. You know, I need to fan myself off here. I'm going to turn the fan on in my room. We're going to have a cool down. And then Albert's going to race us to the finish line with 347 and 348. Thor's final, just bat crap insane, bizarre showdown with Malekith in the fairy realm. Hey, Thor Core members and prospective Thor Core members. We are taking this brief little break from our Simonson saga with Albert from Albert Loves Comics to talk to you about joining the Thor Core. There are a lot of reasons you should already be joining us. We got bonus episodes, we got early episodes, and you are supporting us so that we can keep bringing you Thor content on a weekly basis. Episodes come out every week. But if you support us as a Thor Core member, you're going to get even more. Faz, what are some of the things that people get, as a part of this supportive community, the Thor Core?
The first thing that no one can forget about, and I know some people say it's worthless, but you get my undying love and affection. You get Ryan's undying love and
worthless.
affection. You get Will's undying
prize.
affection. It's great. Like, that's a big thing that comes up here. We have a new Discord server. We're talking a lot of Thor shop. That's great there. That's a place to get going. Patreon wise though, we have some really cool bonus episodes planned that are only going to be Patreon exclusives, obviously. That's something you can get in for. More importantly though, we are looking for listener prime.
Oh my god.
The most important of our listeners.
We haven't found listener prime yet. It almost seems like a travesty.
They are out there. They're just too busy correcting us to join the Patreon.
Yeah, that's right. You can become listener prime and become our highest level of supporter, our most loved supporter. If Faz's undying love is not enough for you, you get my undying love as well. It's like a group deal, and we'll talk to Will about his undying love when he's on the next episode. Maybe you can get that as part of like a package deal. Maybe it's like one of those Amazon deals, Faz, where it's like, hey, we see you're interested in Faz's undying love. Customers also bought Ryan's undying love. You might want to package that together. But
I'm fairly certain that if you buy 2, you get 1 free. So Will just have to love you at that point. Worst case, we'll give him a golden elixir and he'll be there right away.
You know what? Golden elixir has been proven to kind of sort of work. We're gonna get to that in a few minutes on our culmination of this part of the Simonson saga. But the Thor Core does include some awesome people that support us at that next level, and they put up with rants and jokes like this on our unhinged bonus episodes. So we're going to tell you who those Thor Core members are right now. Faz, please, the honor is yours.
Will,
Joshua,
Eric B,
Phil,
Drew,
Trip,
Haley,
Joseph,
Jason Luck,
and Eric T. All support us at that next level. And if you're interested in joining their ranks, joining the Thor Core, click the link in the episode description. And we hope that if you're able to, you'd consider that. If not, just continue to listen to this great episode where we're breaking down Malekith's first storyline, his first showdown with the God of Thunder, Thor. Let's get back into the story. Okay, everybody, we are jumping into the last 2 issues of our Simonson saga today, looking at Malekith. So we are going to start 347. Albert, man, this is your time to shine, brother. Into the fairy realm we go.
All right. So when I first read this, I didn't take notes. I didn't do any of that stuff. So this is my fresh review of just what I remember last. Okay. But I have the book in front of me, so I'm going through it. First off, the cover for 346 is very cool. Yes. Malekith is holding Melody over like a pit filled with a bunch of people about to grab her, and Thor's coming. So it's pretty cool, pretty epic. And it kind of leads to what's going to happen. So in the last issue, Malachi took Melody after, Thor's obsessed with her now because he took that potion. So he is like really gung-ho about saving her. So Thor and Roger head over to the Cotswolds of England to rescue Melody from Malekith. And it's an ancient and powerful realm where the fairies are hidden. But a cool thing about it is that regular people cannot see the realm. So Thor gives Roger this like eye drop that allows him to see the realm, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then when they get there, they end up fighting a bunch of water demons and demons is not the right, water fairies and monsters.
Yeah,
and
like elementals, something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. There's a lot of action in this issue, which I appreciate.
Totally.
Yeah, because who doesn't like to see Thor just swinging? And eventually what we get to is, again, Thor this whole time is just like passionate about saving Melody. He took that passion mead or whatever it's called
passion mead.
That's what it is. Rebranding.
Like cut with passion fruit to make it extra tasty.
Oh gosh.
So he approaches this massive gate, which to enter the realm, and then behind it, Malekith's whole squad is there waiting for him. This was kind of like a trap, and Thor and Roger somehow end up fighting
Thor and Roger
end up fighting a ton of people. Thor is just smashing everybody, and I love that he says slay because that means he is killing people 100%.
Oh my gosh.
Roger is shooting bullets everywhere, and finally, what ends up happening? Thor gets, I guess, ambushed and knocked out by this guy who looks like Bane, and basically tosses him into a pit. Actually, no, Malekith drops into a pit,
Sacrifices him.
Yeah, it's a kind of a cool way to kind of lead to the next issue, but they drop him into this endless pit. Thor and the guy who's beating up Thor. And he gets from Roger the actual what's it called, the Casket of Ancient Winters.
Yes.
So it's a big deal in this issue because basically Thor is in a way defeated, and he's still, his mind is still poisoned. And then Roger, something crazy happens to Roger, which I was not expecting. You guys want to spoil it? I think I feel like
go right ahead.
Roger gets blind. So Malekith says like, "Hey, I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to do something worse to you. I'm going to blind you." And I thought that was like such a crazy torture method to have.
Sick bastard.
It just like shines a bright light in his face, and he's like, "Now you can't see nothing." And then he holds the casket to like his massive army, and then we get a final look at a very cool picture of Surtur with his sword and his back just waiting to be let go.
And his tail.
Yeah, his tail's massive, and he's got the sword in his right hand, and he's got his hand on the wall, and it says "Doom, Doom, Doom." Like, it's a sick way to end this issue. I was messaging you earlier today, Ryan, that this issue I thought was incredible. Like, it was really well paced, a lot of action, and that's just the Thor and Roger storyline. That's not even the Balder storyline.
Right, like Balder is fighting a giant like tremors like sandworm in this issue, and like I won't lie, I'm flipping through it right now, and I kind of forgot about Balder's storyline. Yeah, because he's this like down on his luck, like just wants to get away from it all, and he's like, I gotta fight this sandworm, I guess. He's Murtaugh from Lethal Weapon. He's like, I'm getting too old for this shit. The Balder's storyline, he gets a bit of a highlight coming up, because eventually Balder's going to get his own miniseries that Simonson's going to put out at the same time as his Thor run. So Balder is very important to these stories, even though he's not directly involved with the Malekith of it all. Faz, what did you think of 347? This amping up of Casket of Ancient Winters story.
This is the dramatic beat, right? Where Thor loses, Roger loses, and everything's at its worst, right? Surtur's about to come. Malekith's got the casket. Everything's going terribly for everybody involved. Balder's having a terrible time too in his little side story. It's also great just thinking more about our favorite character, Roger. How seriously the book treats him. Most of the comments aren't like, Thor's got to save everybody. It's like, not even Thor, God of Thunder, almighty, living forever man, or his friend Roger can do anything about this, and they're treated equal billing the whole way through.
Friend Roger. Seriously, for this comic, like, we know Simonson's not afraid to mess with the masthead, after he smashed the old one with Beta Ray Bill's first appearance. They should have, for this one, they just switched been like Thor, or the mighty Thor, and Roger. Like, come on, well, just do it. Like, Roger is a true American hero, because he is a sign of like what a veteran with a cause can do, I guess. He is going after these fairy warriors. Now, Roger seems like a fairly grounded guy. He's albeit unhinged. Like, do you think Roger envisioned his life going this way, where he's in Korea, he's fighting a war, and then later he's like, I'm gonna fight a bunch of fairies later on.
He's read the letters from his son/dad, depending on what part of the story we're in, right?
Right.
So he
right.
clearly knew that something was up. He might not have figured fairies, but he knew he was in for some weird times.
I love that he brings a handgun to this fight. Like,
they're allergic to lead or metal or whatever the
iron
is. Iron, thank you. Yeah.
Because of course bullets are made of iron. Everybody knows that.
I mean, if someone told me that, I'd be like, sure. I
right. That's why I said
I know nothing.
because they're not made of iron.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
That's, it's all metals the same. I mean,
yeah. All metals are the same. Something comics teach us, like, it's metal, whatever. Like,
the biggest problem I have with the iron thing is that humans would have no problem holding off Malekith and his army.
Right.
Three guys with assault rifles would take out all of the fairies.
But it's no, we need 3 guys with assault rifles is not as much as one Roger with one handgun.
One pissed off veteran with a handgun is all you need.
Yeah. No, that can't be problematic.
There was a funny part where Roger's like, like, it's just you and me, Thor. Like, should we get like some help? It's like,
no,
well,
Avengers can't be bothered with this.
Yeah, and I'm like, and there were valid points, and Thor just like dismissed it frequently, and I'm like,
this is my book, he said.
Yeah. This is it's hey, it doesn't say Roger on the cover, Roger. No,
does it say the Mighty Avengers? I didn't think
How about we keep our opinions to ourselves? But another character that Albert mentioned is the mysterious warrior that fights Thor and then gets dropped into this endless pit. That is Algrim the Strong, who will in a few issues he will become the Curse, which is, if you've watched Dark World, he is the one dark elf that crushes the jewel. And he gets all kind of hulked out. Faz, how would you describe what Algrim is?
He's like he gets like a Hulk transformation, but he's also a suicide bomber, and that he will die at the end of the battle. So he's got superpowers, and
like
he's stronger than Thor. He's a berserker. He's in a berserker rage. That's exactly it.
So here in this issue of Thor, Algrim is normal. He's a dark elf. He's a warrior, but in a few episodes of our Simonson Saga, we're going to see Algrim go through a very horrific transformation, and he will be formidable against Thor on his own, even without Malekith. So, guys, like, this ends with Malekith, like Faz said, with that dramatic beat of Thor is down, Thor is out. And we think that, the only thing that stands between humanity, Midgard, and the brink of apocalypse is Roger. That's all Roger alone can save us, because Thor is down and out. Anything else about 347 before we move on to the culmination of our... Yes, Faz.
Odin and the Warriors 3 are assembling their army to fight
Explain
Surtur,
that,
and they look fantastic. Because they have to build their own host up. Surtur's got his whole Muspel army coming, so they got to start assembling the Asgardian team.
So Faz brings up a good point. Another thing that's been happening underneath this main Malekith story is that Odin senses that Surtur is gathering his forces for an invasion of Asgard. And Odin, in response, is mustering up the ranks of Asgard to fight against Surtur, and because we know this is leading to a big battle, and it's going to be Ragnarok, a Ragnarok level threat. So that is also happening underneath this Casket of Ancient Winter story. But let's get to 348. Albert, you want to give us a kind of a synopsis of this issue as well, man?
Yeah. So 348 is a much faster paced story where
very fast.
I feel like not much happens, but because there's a lot of action. So basically what happens, Roger manages to stop Malekith from opening the casket in the most American way possible.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he was blind, but thanks to the metal plate in his head. I'm sorry, not metal, iron plate. The magic of the fairies did not fully impact him, so he was
which
able
he knew would happen. It was his plan all along.
Was
what
his
he
plan.
said. Yeah.
So he was literally crawling on the floor in his blindness, recovered it, had his gun, one bullet left, finds Malekith holding the box above his head, about to smash it in front of all his people, takes one shot and shoots him. And he doesn't kill him, but he injures him. And then just as the box is about to hit the ground and shatter, Melody comes, does like a nice little football dive, catches it, and saves the day. Then there's chaos. Melanie runs away with the box, and then Thor, Roger's like, I can't believe Thor died. Like, this is the end of the entire comic series. And then Thor's falling, calls Mjolnir, saves himself from this endless falling, makes his way back. First thing he asks for is like, hey, where's my honey? Where's Melody? And then Roger tells him she's good. She's got the box, and then basically we get a fight between Malekith and Thor, and it is not a fair fight at all. Thor beats him senselessly, and
it's brutal.
Yeah, it was actually like it was great. I loved it.
I also love the unnecessary power up, because Malekith's getting destroyed makes himself stronger, then just keeps getting destroyed. Nothing changes in the fight at all.
He gets this like almost like a mech warrior like suit of armor, and it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, it's basically like if Frieza went, this isn't even my final form, then went to his final form, and Goku just kept smacking.
Yeah,
that is amazing.
So in this whole arc, it basically is getting to this point where you're like, oh, like the story's over, like, but there's still like 20 pages left, or 10 pages left. You're like, okay, what's going on? Meanwhile, Odin's forces are still building, and it looks like they're getting ready for battle. And then there's a whole Boulder storyline also going, where he's getting all these like special abilities and awakening and all this really cool stuff.
He's learned that he's the key, which is really important for later in the saga.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm of all the parts of this story, I was the most confused but curious about it. So I definitely want to hear you guys talk more about that if you have the time. Tell me more.
So the thing with Balder is before Simonson took over, Balder actually was in hell. He had died, and as he was resurrected, when he came back, he felt this guilt about all the people he had not saved and all the people he had to kill in battle. It's actually a really good commentary on almost the PTSD that he feels after these traumatic events and what he's done for Asgard. And his loyalty is really wavering at this point, because he goes out from Asgard. He doesn't really want anything to do with the feast. He doesn't want anything to do with the camaraderie. He even, his best friend at the time, Volstagg, he kind of ghosts him. And, he's like, Volstagg will be better off without me. Like, I'm not worthy of being called brave. I'm not worthy of any of this adulation people are giving me. And this journey he's on is going to lead him into the arms of Karnilla, the Norn queen. And Karnilla, through the history of Thor comics, Karnilla has always kind of had a thing for Balder. And Karnilla is, I wouldn't say she's an outright villain, but at times she does villainous things. And the thing that Karnilla she uses the most is the Norn stones. Now, there's no actual set list of what the Norn stones do. They're kind of a MacGuffin for whatever they need to do. So in a storyline, you'll put the Norn stones and they're like, oh, what do we need the Norn stones to do? Oh, they teleport shit. Okay, well, then we need that to happen. But Karnilla wants the heart. She wants the love, the heart, the affection of Balder. She's a villain that loves a hero, and the hero is so noble that the villain can't get him to love her. It's a really interesting love story that gets played out through this whole thing. But Balder's on this quest right now, but he doesn't really know it's a quest exactly. But it will lead him to Karnilla, and it will lead to the events of his limited series, which is my I guess my 30,000 foot view of what Balder is up to right now.
Well, thank you. That was good. That gave me a lot more perspective.
So yeah, I mean, Balder is a very important character in this because his main story runs parallel to Thor, but doesn't really interact with it a ton at this point. So yeah, we're gonna get a lot more of Balder later on, and we're gonna have a whole episode devoted to in the Simonson Saga. We're gonna have a whole episode devoted to the 4-issue miniseries that Simonson did for Balder in this run of his comics. And Balder has never been collected in another limited series. It's the only limited series that's ever been done about him, for him, focusing on him. A lot of modern comics don't even really mention Balder anymore. So yeah, he's a character that probably most modern fans, MCU fans, probably mostly don't know or don't remember. But Simonson uses him to great effect in this run.
Okay,
that's my Balder soliloquy, everybody.
Well, let me keep going on how the story ends. So basically everything looks happy. It looks like Thor has saved the day. He's got his girl Melody in his arms, and then Roger, which he's kind of wearing a different outfit now. Is it Roger? It's Roger, right?
Oh yeah.
He's got a little bit of a different outfit. He loses his hat with America on it. And he looks at Thor and he's like, Thor, you're the watch out. There's a trap in front of you, and it's Melody. And he takes out his gun and he points it to Melody, and Thor like swings at him, misses. Roger takes his gun and throws it as hard as he can because Melody, and she says, "Gah!"
And guns are the real hero, kids.
And the gun, without going off, transforms Melody into her true self, which is a fairy. And we find out that it wasn't actually Melody that he was holding. It was a fairy with a dagger ready to stab Thor. And Melody, and so Thor obviously throws a hammer at this fairy, and then we find out that Melody's actually somewhere else. And he goes to her. Time has passed. Thor unveils the roof of the cave and shines light on all these elves. But then he forgets about Malekith, and he's not unconscious. He's not passed out anymore. And when he finds the energy, he throws that same gun. Malekith takes that gun, throws it at the casket holding Surtur inside, and it smashes open, and it leads to Surtur coming out. And now he's gone to Midgard, and that's the end of the story.
We are awesome. What Surtur needed was for this casket to be unleashed so that they could make a portal to Midgard. So now Surtur even says this at the end. He says, "Sons of Muspel, our servant has completed his task. The portal is frozen. Winter has come at last to the realm of mortals. Now shall the sword twilight speak, that all who live may hear its voice and tremble. Let this be the third blow against the power of Asgard. Doom." I mean, goosebumps reading it. This comic is like almost 40 years old. Fantastic ending.
Yeah.
It ramps up so fast to the end, and you're like, oh hell yes, we're doing this.
Yeah.
One
thing I really like, sorry to jump in, is that Thor kisses Melody, and even Simonson realizes this is a plot hole. So he just has Roger comment that it's a plot hole and goes, wait, I thought that he didn't know that she knew that he was Thor. And then they just keep going. It's like, okay, cool.
Yes, because Roger even says, interesting. Thor went to see Melody in his civilian disguise of Sigurd Jarlsson. I didn't get the impression that he thought she knew who he was for real.
I I think our theory that Thor is kind of a dumbass who's easily tricked is just getting clearer when he should be thinking to himself, well, how does she know who I am?
Yeah, Faz, I think we've settled on that. That Thor's kind of a dumbass when he conveniently needs to be.
He's a lovable dumbass though.
Right. We love him. Hey, we devoted a whole podcast to him. Yeah, I mean, this, like Albert said, like this is kind of a race to the finish, action wise. And Malekith, it's crazy. He himself is defeated in his fight with Thor, but it's almost like he lost that fight, but he ended up winning the war.
Yeah.
Like in the overarching, well, he even actually, Malekith even says that. That's why it sounded so familiar. He says, well, Roger is going to run to try to stop Malekith from throwing the gun. He says, Thor, look out, Malekith's awake and he's picked up my gun, which, probably pisses Roger off because he's like, hey, that's my elf killing gun. But then Malekith says, too late, mortal. Neither you nor Thor can stop me from completing my appointed task. Though the cold iron burns my flesh, for your weapon shall serve me as it has served you. You have won the battle, but you have lost the war. And that's when he throws the gun at the casket. The casket explodes, and Thor immediately punches Malekith in the face right after that. He's like, fool, blackguard, my father will deal with you when the time comes. It's like, hey, that was really mean what you did there. I'm going to tell my dad on you. But guys, any final thoughts on the last issue of our Simonson Saga episode today, 348, entitled The Dark and the Light?
I think what every comic needs to do is conclude with like a cliffhanger that really makes you want to read the next one, and 100% it makes me feel like I want to read the next one.
But like Albert, you said like this is like you haven't read a lot of Thor. Will you go finish Surtur Saga?
I think I will. It's just, this is,
how can you not?
I'm curious. I gotta know, is he gonna like, he's gonna be in the front right there, right?
Yeah.
Like so it's just Thor and Roger and Melody versus an entire army of like this.
That's a good point.
That's exciting.
If you're Roger at this point, you've just defeated an army of dark elves. You've just, you thought you stopped the apocalypse, and then you're like, oh yeah, man, I'm gonna need a few cold ones, and I'm gonna need a break. And then
it's like, all good.
It's a whole army made of fire.
He knows that Muspel's weaknesses are hats with the American flag on them, so he's got everything he needs right away. He's good to go.
He's so delightfully over the top and just like edgy, like, but in that like campy way. Roger Willis is really like Faz said, he's the real Iron Man. But do you guys, like, Faz, do you have any other final thoughts about 348 and our first encounter with Malekith?
These are they're so much fun. I just want to take a moment to talk as the cosplayer in here that these costume designs are so much fun.
Yeah.
Thor's got his ridiculous yellow boots. He's got the big flowing cape. Malekith's hair is everywhere and nowhere at once. There's so many
right?
really great shots. Surtur looks super cool. It's all very 80s. It's all very wild. It's really, really fun to look at.
Yeah.
I will say the design elements of this, I feel like Walt gets what he wants to do with these characters, and they don't like. The biggest thing that we talked about with the guys from Bronze Age Monsters with the Beta Ray Bill episode was that Walt's vibe is so distinct, from his writing to definitely his art. Like, there were a few Marvel comics coming out at this time that looked like this, that felt like this. You could probably say Claremont's X-Men, with that like overarching stories, like, hey, we're going to drop in this little bit about, Rogue, or this little bit about Storm, and then we're going to pay it off like 20 issues later. There's a lot of that kind of building in Simonson's run where, like the Balder story, we're not going to pay off the Balder story for a little while still. Yeah. And we planted that seed in the first issue. Like, Beta Ray Bill's going to come back. He's got more to do. We haven't seen Sif in 8 issues now. What is she up to? There's so much layering. And I love that in the 80s, you saw more creators do more of that like soap opera layering where things are like there's an A, B, C, maybe even a D storyline. One thing that wasn't mentioned a lot, I mean, it mentioned, but we didn't see, was Loki still has a plan. Like Loki is working behind the scenes as well, but we didn't see him in this storyline. So he was kind of out of sight, out of mind, but Loki's going to come back in a big way in our next part. So there's a lot of moving pieces here. And that's why I really like Simonson's run. That's why we were so intent on doing Simonson after we did Jason Aaron, because Jason Aaron did the same thing with his run on Thor. There's overlapping and layering, and characters go away for a few issues and then they come back and you're like, oh, right, you were up to this. Albert, you mentioned Game of Thrones earlier. I kind of compare it to Game of Thrones, where it's like, we haven't seen Tyrion in 3 episodes. But because there's so much good story going on, I don't miss them. And when they come back, I'm like, oh, right, you were doing this.
Yeah. No, this is so I read Claremont X-Men. That's like one of my favorite comics of all time. And the one thing about Thor that has always attracted me is the artwork. It's always stunning, especially the space stuff. It's just like visually, there's nothing. I really believe this. There's nobody who does space better. I think Simonson is just incredible at that. So it's always attracted me. So to actually sit down and like read it, it's really satisfying to know that the writing was also well thought out, or at least the planning. I mean, there's some silly, goofy parts, but that's also why you read it, because you want to. That's
part of the game. Yeah.
And not everybody does that. Some people are really serious writers, and some like are embrace the fun part. But I can't say anything bad about this. I really appreciate you guys inviting me onto the show just so that I can get exposed to this.
Well, I mean, it's our privilege to have you aboard the Bifrost today to talk about Malekith's first showdown with the God of Thunder. And we're going to talk more about Malekith next week, actually, everybody. We've got more Malekith coming at you. And next week, Faz, we might not even talk about Thor. It's crazy. We're going to talk about a Malekith storyline.
Who even are we?
You know what? I think maybe for next week we just call it Across the Bifrost, the Malekith, the Accursed podcast. I bet our numbers take a deep dive. But next week we're gonna follow up on this with our good friend Russell Moran is coming back from Tomes of Evil, the comic book podcast. It's all about villains. And we are going to talk about a villain versus kind of villain showdown, where Malekith is going to go to hell and fight Carnage. Didn't know that was a thing. Looked it up. I was like, oh, that's what Malekith's been up to since War of the Realms. Russell's going to come on. We're going to talk about Carnage in hell versus Malekith. Just those words alone, everybody. You should want to come back and check it out. But it's Ram V is the writer, and Roger Antonio, who had a few little chats with on Instagram. Delightful man. He does the art, and our good friend Joe Sabino did the lettering, Faz.
Oh, of course he did.
So, oh my gosh, Joe's the best. Man, Albert, before we jump out of here, man, do you got you want to plug your stuff again? Tell people where they can interact with you, and if you got anything coming up, feel free to take this moment and hype yourself, man.
Hey, appreciate it. No, I just have a lot of gratitude for you. If you're interested in seeing my stuff, Instagram, TikTok, I post all my reviews. I post videos of me making my sketchbooks. I try and do at least 2 to 3 comic reviews a week of just stuff that I'm reading constantly. The sketchbooks, I have the Etsy shop. It's on the link in my bio. But no, again, thank you guys so much for having me on. This was really a great pleasure.
Thank you so much, man. When we were starting this series, I was like, I don't even know if Albert like reads Simonson. I was like, you know what though? He is so entertaining, and I enjoy your content so much. We're very glad that we could have you on. Faz, do you want to tell people where they can interact with us on all the stuff. You do it
You can have me do it again. This is like the sixth time today, Ryan.
To you hype our stuff.
All right, guys, we have a lot going on. First and foremost, we've got a Discord page now. It's excellent. Ryan and I are two of the most active people there.
The new world.
There's talks about data leaks at Discord. Ignore all that. Join the Discord. It's great. Have a good time.
Join the Discord.
Secondly, we have a Patreon, 2 different levels of Patreon, regular Thor Core members and Listener Prime. We're super excited to figure out who our new best friend is and become Listener Prime and get in there.
Who knows?
We're super active on Instagram. We're growing a community here, and we'd really love to have you guys be a part of it. So if you have any hate mail, direct it directly to Will Rose. I'm not sure what his Instagram handle. Yeah, at Will Rose. Perfect. Yep. He's the one who handles that stuff for us.
Yep. He's our complaint department.
If you love Ryan and I, then you can shout that from the rooftop. So you can throw it on Instagram, toss us a follow, send us a message. We're very responsive. And we love to talk Thor, love to talk comics, and love to talk the MCU.
Okay, everybody, that's going to do it for our episode today for our Simonson Saga Part 3. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you enjoyed Malekith and the Casket of Ancient Winters and Roger Willis and all the craziness that we enjoyed today. We do hope that until we see you next time aboard the Rainbow Bridge, you will do one thing for us, and that is, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, don't forget to stay worthy. Da 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 da.